You're watching a B.A.S.S. presentation.
All right, our live coverage continues here at the Lawrence Bassmaster Elite at the Harris Chain of Lakes, Leesburg, Florida. This is day number 2 if you're just checking in on it. We did not do day number 1 on Thursday, as was planned because of weather safety issues. We end our second day only here, so we got the full field out there on the 8 lakes that comprise the Harris Chain. Very, very interesting tournament going on right here. And a lot of changes since we started this morning. John Garrett was on top when we started with 24 pounds, 2 ounces on day number 1. He had fallen down as far as 7th place. And we come back after our break here, our midday break, and John Garrett is back on top. We will fill in, backfill, as they say, that story for you, and so much more. Everything that we have seen so far today and through this tournament will contain it all right now in our Toyota Midday Report. So let's get to a rookie. Rookie's always a big part of our story these days anymore. JT Tompkins, #1 qualifier for the Elite Series this year from the EQs. Getting out there's a slow start for JT. He waited a long time, baby, for his first fish.
He did. Kind of had a slower day yesterday, putting him in the live well. He lost a few fish during periods of the day. Yesterday would have certainly made his catch a lot better. Said he had about 28 to 30 pounds, best 5 fish hooked up yesterday and lost several of them. This morning, getting bites early, but they were smaller. Caught a couple of good fish. JT Tompkins, one of the anglers, is throwing a big glide bait. We saw Trey McKinney doing that yesterday also. Fishing offshore, throwing a big glide bait primarily.
Another man tied with a great place to start the day was Brock Mosley, the veteran from Mississippi. Another guy trying to get his best start of the year going on the Elite Series.
Yeah, I would say every fish is a bonus for Brock Mosley. He said he had the 3rd best worst practice of all time coming into this event. So yesterday he was certainly surprised to have a top 10 finish. This morning, a little slow, but he's been able to, much like Brandon Lester, just keep his bait wet, staying in areas, staying shallow around Kissimmee grass, a few boat docks mixed in, and currently unofficially in 6th place with 31 pounds, 3 ounces. Still a great tournament so far for the 3rd best worst practice ever.
That's right.
There's going to be a lot of anglers out there that didn't catch 20 pounds or heavy 19s on day 1, and they won't catch it today. So at least he got his job done yesterday, and even if it's tougher today or tomorrow, he has that bonus of a day 1 big bag.
Yeah, he's still looking good to make it to the day 3 action here on the Harris Chain of Lakes. How about Brandon Lester? He always looks forward to his trips to Florida. He's got a great record here, as you pointed out many times today, Ron.
Yeah, Lester, one big deal that he said in an interview and his style of fishing today is you don't want to run around, especially if you're trying to capitalize on a shad spawn bite. You need to just be confident in the area you choose and slight adjustments, not lake changes, not idle zone movement. And that's what he did, even with more wind than expected on the east side of Eustis.
Yeah, a lot more wind there for him this morning, and the bite was a lot slower yesterday morning by about 10:30. He had 21 pounds this morning by 10:30. He caught his 5th fish that only at that point weighed about 7 or 8 pounds total. So just like you mentioned, Ronnie, he, instead of running around, just kept his bait wet and was able to move on up there and catch a solid limit. Currently unofficially in 5th place.
Still, it's been a slow period the last hour for him, still stuck around 10 pounds. Brad Watley, big day yesterday with 2 giants to start and end his fishing day. And today he got started a little earlier, actually, with some decent keepers.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, I was a little nervous for Brad Watley. When you looked at what his total weight was yesterday, you thought, wow, he's somebody that obviously had a great day. Some of these other anglers did catch 30 bass or so. Brad Watley, not so much, but he did have a 7.12 and a 7.14. That's never a bad thing, but the big picture, you look and say, wow, without those 2 bites, it really was a slow day for Brad Watley. Got off to a better start this morning with the shad spawn, using a mixture of baits, a white swim jig, a white buzz bait, white chatterbait, doing some different things, even a spinner bait a little bit. So he's been able to keep it wet, just like the other anglers. Not as many bites, or not the size for Brad Watley this morning as yesterday.
John Garrett, the man who started the day with the lead, 24 pounds and 2 ounces. A great day 1, but a slow start on day number 2, size-wise.
Yeah, he mixed it up a little bit. We saw him with the lipless crankbait there, some soft plastics. He said that he had All the fish he caught yesterday, except maybe one, wasn't 100% sure, came on a 5XD. Today he was mixing it up. Ronnie, I think you said that he taught with his friend there, Cody Huff, and
Yes.
they kind of tag teamed him, I guess.
Yeah, and I think that because he didn't catch any good fish or any fish at all before 11 o'clock, Davey, he opted to start his day in a different area so that he could get a baseline weight. Get 3, 4, 5 fish, small limit, but have that comfort to go to his big fish area and ride it out. And boy, did he, just a few minutes ago, landing this close to 6-pounder, if not 6-pounder. It was on Bass Track at 6 pounds. And that's one of the big ones that you need, Tommy. So now he's our unofficial leader.
Yeah, by about 2.5 pounds at this point. That's his pretty good size lead for this place, actually, the way it's been going the past couple of days. Oh, now we're live with John Garrett.
You good?
Oh.
That sucks. 5-pounder. He just jumped too many times. Gosh, dang it.
Take a look here, trying to wear this fish down. It's part of using any baits with treble hooks, especially your bigger, heavier baits, or bigger crankbaits of all different types,
That
bigger
really
top
does.
waters. It's one jump too many.
John Garrett, a rookie who has worked
that's a
so
good one,
many
too.
years
That was a good one.
to get out here on the Elite Series.
Both of his latest upgrades, that 6-pounder, and he also caught a 3-pounder within a cast or two of each other. That is the majority of his weight today. Those two fish for about 9 pounds. He's got 13 or so on Bass Track. And then Brad Watley's done a lot of good work in the last 20 minutes or so, adding 2 of his biggest fish.
Another big one.
It don't feel as big. A little skinny rail. Of course, I got that one barely hooked. The other one had both hooks, comes off. Number 5.
Definitely help him, those smallest fish, 1 pound even.
Skinny. It was a 2-2. Yeah, put it
1.25-pound upgrade.
Back over to J.T. Tompkins.
You also said, Tommy, guy who caught a 7-pounder yesterday, Paul Mueller, caught another one during our break. I think you and Such were talking about that, and that's we said it was hard to duplicate, but that's a bonus from Mueller. We'll probably see him tomorrow. Then
Oh,
in the
yeah,
top
I
10
would think so.
He's up
around
to
it.
Most
fifth place
definitely.
with 14.5 pounds on the day. Biggest bag of the day is Mike Iaconelli, 16 pounds. He caught a couple of 4.5 pounders a while ago.
Boy, JT there, yeah, he's hooked up. You could tell he was watching one behind his bait closely there. He was dialed in on it.
Stay down, stay down. There we go. We're starting to cool now. It's getting that time of day. You can weigh these in this tournament. You don't want to, but you can. I don't know where I put my flag. There they are.
Lee Livesey's also knocking on the top 10 with 14.5 today. He caught a 5.5 pounder recently. He's in 12th place. And Mr. Rick Clun caught a 5-pounder.
Right.
He's in 27th place with almost 10 pounds on 4 fish.
Nice.
You'll see him make the cut.
Yep.
It's his special Florida swing for him for sure, and for everybody who enjoys tournament bass fishing.
We got a little like helmet deal here blocking so that when he's culling, he doesn't lose the fish. Did you see that little apparatus there, Davey?
Oh, yeah.
I noticed him using that.
He has a little float there to protect the fish.
Yeah, I think it's a piece of
it's a
foam
little barrier once he pulls it out.
to protect the fish in the live well, and also used for a barrier.
Better than the 5 noodles cut in
Yep.
pieces.
Yep.
New product to sell.
Think of a name for it, Suge.
They got one,
I
I'm
can
sure.
run a jerkbait through the pile. I get bit every time, but the thing is, I get hung up so many times. If I don't get hung up, I get bit.
Here's a shot from long to tight, going to Brad Watley.
Well, you can see the
Our Lawrence
wind.
bird's eye view.
Yep, the wind's laying down, and these anglers are switching up a little bit. Brad Watley's been on the shoreline all morning, and now he's venturing out offshore, and this is the way he caught the 2 bigger fish yesterday. Not on the bank, but out offshore.
Oh, sorry. That's
Okay.
David Gaston. I misidentified.
You've been looking at the eclipse too much.
I know. I was bedazzled by the bird's eye view and didn't pay attention to the right
Don't
angle.
worry, you won't have to worry about looking at it again for another 20-something years.
That's right.
Your eyes have a lot of time to heal.
Or, and to put it another way, I'll never have to look at it again.
Oh, jeez.
That's a great shot to
Isn't it?
show the scattered vegetation there that he's fishing.
No real water clarity problem in that part of the Harris chain, it doesn't appear today.
That's a great shot. You can see where it goes from a pretty consistent, solid carpet of vegetation to scattered.
Cobb mentioned when I talked to him on the canceled day, on the postponed day, that the Harris chain has its opportunities to have clean water and good clarity in places, but overall, all the times we've been here, it's been one of more dirtier places because it's the impact and soft bottom, like you said. And so with a lack of vegetation in some of these lakes, anglers were greeted with a lot different water clarity than they probably assumed they'd
Sure.
get when they showed up. That some of these lakes were much cleaner than others. Some, you know, like Carlton is not directly on the chain. It's a little off to the side, so the water doesn't come through the whole chain and get there. It's clear on its own.
Yeah, they have a baseline of color in the water here. It's not like a blue hole
Right.
spring or something like that.
Very different from most other Florida lakes.
Yeah.
I don't think we got anything that small.
So for the first part of my career, speaking of that watercolor, made me think of the first time I came to Harris Chain Lake. It had been a big period where we didn't have Bassmaster events in the state of Florida because of a tax that they were imposing on the winnings of the anglers. So it was a long period we didn't go there. So I was glad. I think halfway through my career before we started fishing Florida lakes, or close to it. It's a big issue, and thankfully they got that straightened up. But it was something to do with the entertainment tax, or a tax that they were charging.
Y'all were
For
not
winnings.
entertained by that, I don't
No.
So you're saying back in the day, we've been classified as gambling when Rick Clun was saying they said it used to be gambling and now it's entertainment. and now it's 2024, and we're recognized.
You know, it
maybe
could have
as a
been
sport.
gambling. It could have been. I just think it was like sports entertainment or something that they were charging a tax for. But anyway, I'm glad they straightened that out.
Yeah, I'm glad we're
show.
back there now. This place
Harris
is
Chain of Lakes.
absolutely full of fish. Different times of year, they can be tough to get them to bite, but boy, they are still there, and somebody always figures them out. Right now, that person is John Garrett. Figured them out on day number 1, and he has pushed himself back to the top of the leaderboard right now. Brad Watley and all the rest in pursuit. Full field out there today.
Discover the Dakota Lithium DL Plus 135 amp hour battery. With dual purpose 135 amp hour deep cycle capacity and an impressive 1,000 cold cranking amps,